What excited you most about returning to Spider-Man franchise and reprising these iconic roles?
And I didn't have to be blue and things like that as far as my character was concerned, so you're gonna be a little more hip.
I like the idea that I was returning to something that was same but different. It's a return to something I did before with that kind of history, but there's a spin on it, and that appealed to me.
Alfred?
For me, it's just about the money.
Spider-Man No Way Home, the most anticipated superhero film since Endgame, is out, and I got to see it Thursday as of this recording.
And I feel sick.
Now, it wasn't that bad. I wouldn't even call it bad. I thought the movie was actually quite good. But it has problems that will dampen my enjoyment of this version of the character until the end of his run. I'll start off with my non-spoiler thoughts of the film and warn you when I get to my more in-depth spoiler thoughts. I'm not going to deal with a recap because everyone knows the story of this movie. No Way Home is a good movie that is able to juggle the identity reveal, personal relationships, and multiverse stakes really well without feeling like it's doing too much. It's not perfect, but it's not The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is honestly also a low bar. This is easily Tom Holland's best performance as Peter Parker and Spider-Man. The emotions and range is spot on to comic book Peter. Tom Holland is my favorite live-action Spider-Man, and this movie only provides more evidence to that.
This is all my fault. I can't save everyone.
The villains, mainly Doc Ock, Green Goblin, and Electro, are really enjoyable and fun to see on screen again, especially Electro, where Jamie Foxx gets to reinvent him as just being himself with electric powers.
Electro Monday.
Doctor Strange, Ned, MJ, and Aunt May all do a great job with what they're given to do, with some getting even more agency and emotional scenes than the previous films ever did. The comedy didn't always work for me, but I'm not much of a laugh-out-loud guy in movie theaters, so mileage may vary.
What was your name again?
Dr. Otto Octavius.
Wait, no, seriously, what's your actual name?
No Way Home is good, not great, and while you're watching it, you'll have heaps of fun. I'll definitely need to see it once or twice over to get a bearing on my thoughts, but as of now, it's a 7 out of 10. Now let's get into my spoiler thoughts, which I will break up with titles signifying what I want to talk about. I hate writing intros and transitions.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Are you afraid that I'm gonna turn into some kind of criminal? Quit worrying about me, okay?
3, that's a magic number.
Uncle Ben's importance to Spider-Man in the MCU is one of much debate and criticism levied at MCU Spider-Man's motivation.
No, Uncle Ben. I'm just
Iron Boy Jr.
I always saw Uncle Ben, though not mentioned outright, his presence is felt throughout each film. Peter makes the sacrifices it takes to be a hero because of the man he failed to save due to his irresponsibility.
What do you want, Peter? What do you mean? What do you want?
I don't know.
What do you want? You, Peter Parker, now. I know you're thinking about it.
I want to go on my trip, right? I want to go back on my trip with my friends, with the girl who I really like, and tell her how I feel.
You're not gonna do that, are you?
No, I can't.
Why not?
Because I have too much of a responsibility.
But in the scene of No Way Home when Norman reverts back into the Goblin persona and the villains all escape with him, side note, Peter has now been manipulated in 2 films by a villain. It made sense both times, but it's so annoying to happen twice now. Peter does his guilt trip of,
I can't save everyone.
and Aunt May says something like,
You have a gift. You have power. And with great power, there must also come great responsibility.
this would be a perfect time for Peter to go, Ben used to tell me that, or I know, Ben taught me that, but all he goes is, which could mean Ben did teach him, but it's more reasonable to say the events of Homecoming and Far From Home taught him that. When Aunt May dies, which I'll talk about later on, it would have been the perfect time to have a scene before her death where she caresses Peter's face and goes, Ben would be proud. And that would be enough. Lastly, when Toby and Andrew show up, I know, shocker. They try to empathize with MCU Peter's loss by talking about, with great power comes great responsibility. Both Toby and Andrew acknowledged their Uncle Ben said that, and Tom Peter is dead silent. All these scenes were perfect times to bring up his value to MCU Spider-Man, and they refused. This just muddles how important this Uncle Ben was to him.
I have a father. His name was
3, that's a magic number.
So So as I said before, Aunt May dies at the hands of the Green Goblin when she's trying to protect Peter. MCU Aunt May has been a giant bowl of missed potential. They seem to have sucked out all the emotion and earnestness of the character to do the unconventional cool hot aunt trope. I was okay with it for Homecoming because its ending teased we get something we never got before. The Amazing Spider-Man one-issue story, The Conversation, where Aunt May finds out Peter is Spider-Man and they have a serious deep talk where they air out all their kept secrets and feelings. But Far From Home threw that away for no, she's actually super cool with her nephew being in harm's way. They actually have a character say this in No Way Home, but they paint him as the asshole when he's totally right. So with all that non-character from past films, this movie had to work really hard to make her death feel earned, and they really didn't. She suddenly becomes the pillar of virtue for Peter when he's feeling conflicted. Would have been nice if this was in other movies. All the motivational speeches and cute dynamic moments we could have had that had the possibility of rivaling Rosemary Harris or Sally Field are gone due to a death with no weight.
I believe there's a hero in all of us that keeps us honest, gives us strength, makes us noble.
To do this without Ben, I don't know how. And you're dreaming about your perfect father who was never here. No, I won't tell you. You're my boy. As far as I'm concerned, you're my boy.
Spot something like that happening, you turn and you run the other way.
Yeah, of course.
That's a magic number.